record. Okay, what is TestNG? Okay, so we will discuss about this one. And what are the features of TestNG? Okay, and if you say that means guys, if you feel that Chris, I don't want this, you tell me, I'll remove that one too. Okay, what is TestNG and what are the features of the TestNG? Um, mm, Next one, we will show that how to install the test engine. See what is my expectation on this particular training is I wanted to give you from the basics and then so that it would be easy for you people. You want me to go in that particular channel, or you want me to pick means if you have any particular doubts or anything, you want me to directly jump into that particular thing. So how you wanted this one? Usually I'll take it from this basic, so that's where I was starting from here. Or else if you want me to change the agenda, then I'll just go whatever the topics you guys wanted. On that particular topics, I'll write it and then I'll try to give the session on this. So which is convenient, means which you are expecting from me?
I think from basic is fine for me.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, then fine. So now I think this is what we are expecting to do it. So how we wanted to install the test engine and create a basic project with test engine. And next, we wanted to discuss about annotations, annotations of TestNG. And next, once we understand the annotations, then we would be talking uh, about the options in the annotations. Don't worry, guys. I'll explain each and every topic. So just I wanted to derive the thing so that it would be easier. We will take one topic and then we'll discuss. And after this one, we'll be talking about the data providers. So how we will provide the data to this particular TestNG classes, and accessions. The most important part of this one is accessions. And once we do the ascensions, then we have the more important thing is listeners. And apart from this listeners, next we will be having retry retries retry mechanism. And we will be having the other interfaces, like we do have iTest listener, and we do have test results, and there are many interfaces are there. So in this particular concept, we will be discussing about the interfaces of the test engine. So now let's start one by one, and then we will try to achieve it. Okay, so coming back to what do you mean by test engine? And if you see here, we do have an official documentation. So just if you need to just type testng.org. So we will be having this, and then slash, if you click on the documentation, so you'll be getting the complete documentation of this one. So if you see, these are the basic features which we can get it from the TestNG perspective. Now, this is an official documentation. I'll not means anyone can purely believe this one. So whatever these things are written over here. Now, the main thing when they started to say it is an testing framework which is inspired from the JUnit and NUnit. So previously we do have the JUnit. JUnit is nothing but Java unit, and NUnit is nothing but Node unit. Node.js you say, right? For that one. Unit is nothing but that's a unit testing frameworks. Means if you wanted to write, means if you wanted to do the unit testing, we should have some frameworks, right? So for that particular frameworks, uh, by default these things are available in the market, just we will take it. So hope you remember in our framework session I told about what is a framework. So I told you, right, it's a blueprint for the successful execution of your project effectively and efficiently. Now if you wanted to sit and write a code for a unit testing, then there are multiple cases you need to write. but you can't write all the cases, right? With the help of these particular frameworks, they will automatically generate the test cases for you, so that you can take that as a baseline. On top of that one, you can write multiple more test cases. So those are the unit testing frameworks. Why I talk about this unit testing framework? Because so to create this particular framework, so these are the base frameworks from where the TestNG has been derived. And the TestNG is a testing framework. So this will be calling as a testing supported framework or supporting frameworks. Now this can be used with the any particular open source tools. And the TestNG is an open source tool. Okay, so this was released by Cedric Bust. So this is a guy who is a founder of this one, and we have consistently it was updating. The current version is 7.0.3. This is not updated, so 7.0.3 R is the latest version. I think he need to update this one. So in 2020 also we have an update, so that is the latest update we have it. Now here you've seen it, right? So we understand what is a TestNG. TestNG is nothing but it's a testing framework. So what it can have the capabilities, or what it can do with this particular framework. Now this framework can have the complete control on the executions. Not only on the execution, it can do the assertions. Assertion, what do you mean by assertion, Chris? Very simple. Assertion is nothing but expected value versus the actual value. If both are equal, then it is asserted and then it is true. If it is on this assertion it failed, then the test case is failed. So comparing between the two things is called the assertion. So assertions are nothing but verifies. So now assertion, we do have two types of assertion. One is a soft assertion and a hard assertion. Anyways, when we come to that particular topic, we will get into the details of the hard assertion, soft assertion. What I'm saying is, what are the features of the TestNG, or why we use TestNG framework? I'm talking about it. So first pointer, what I told you is it have the complete control on the execution. Means which test case has to execute first, which test case has to execute second, what is the sequence of execution, what is if I wanted to make a parallel execution, how I can do it. And if I wanted to exempt, means I don't wanted to execute any particular test case, so then how I need to exclude that particular test case, or include that particular test case, exclude the particular class, include the particular class. So excluding, including, whatever we wanted, we can do all the things with the help of TestNG. So that's a major and important feature is it controls the execution pattern. So if you wanted to skip a particular test case, if you wanted to group a particular test cases, what not, everything can be achieved with the help of TestNG. So this is the first feature. We can have a complete control on the test case execution. And the second means how we can have the control means with the help of your annotations. So we will be having a 9 annotations are there. When I come to the annotation part, we will just discuss. So as of now, what I'm trying to say is the basic features of the TestNG. So the basic features is the first one is it can have the complete control on the execution, and second one is we can do the assertions, and the third basic thing is the data providers. The data providers, the name itself, you can understand that. What do you mean by a data provider means externalizing the test data, which is a data driven approach. Even in the means the TestNG, by default, they provided this particular option and the feature, which is called the data providers option, means externalizing the particular test data, and from the externalizing data we can pass that particular data to the respective test cases. Means for test case 1 I need this data, test case 2 I need this data, test case 3 I need to have this data. So we can group up that particular thing separately and maintain them separately, and then you can pass it and then you can keep it over there. So this is what called as the data providers. Okay, so now this is the third feature. Now next one is the code is multi-thread safe. So multi-thread safe means it's a parallel execution. If you wanted to execute your code parallelly. Means you have written 10 test cases and you can run your 10 test cases parallelly. So you can do that parallel execution also. So that is called multi-thread in concept. So you have multi-threading, and then in that multi-threading, you can run it in the different threads, and then you can execute it. So how to do that one? So when we come to the implementation part, I'll talk about there. But this is a one of the feature. Next one is all your tests can be configured. I told you, right, which can be included, which can be excluded, and you want the detailed level of logs, or you wanted to have parallel execution, you wanted to have sequential execution, whatever the configurations which you wanted. So those all configurations can be supported over here. So that is what the flexibility in the test configuration. And next one is a data driven approach, so which we have already discussed. And then passing the parameters. For an example, um, if you wanted to pass the parameters, for an example, I wanted to pass my parameter as a Chrome browser, because when you starting your execution, you can pass your parameter saying that this has to be executed in the Chrome, or this can be executed in the Firefox, or this can be executed in the IE. So if you have passed that particular information as a parameter to this particular testng.xml file, by default it will applicable for all the test cases. So this is called parameterization. Guys, you shouldn't confuse with two terminologies. One is with the data provider. This is test data at a test case level. This is parameter for a whole execution, which is called as a parameters or the parameterization. Support for the parameters. Okay. Now, powerful execution model. So those are the basic thing, and support for variety of tools and plugins. Means it support for Eclipse. I mean, even it will support for IntelliJ, and then even it will support for the Maven, and it means it have many other flexible tools are there where it can support for these things. And this it is not required for us. Means if I talk about this one, it might be confusing for us, so that's where I don't want to get into this. And dependent method for application server testing. Okay, so these three things I'll just park it apart, so because this is not at all we are trying to use it. So with this particular features, means because these are the things which we will be commonly using. So one is the complete, means controlling your complete executions with the help of annotations, and whichever the things you wanted to execute it, so you can execute in the sequential or the parallel executions. And then you can have a configuration of your test, and then you can use the data driven approaches, and then you can use the assertions, and you can use the listeners, so which is not here. Listeners is nothing but, I told you, right, it will listen your executions, means whatever means the execution it was happening, so it will completely listen to your execution, and it will take the necessary actions when it was required. For an example, your test case is passed, what it need to do. Your test case is failed, what it need to do. And test case is skipped, what it need to do. It is passed with 100% success rate, what it need to do. On start, what it need to do. On finish, what it need to do. There are seven. That's an interface. They have seven unimplemented methods are there. So why should we know about this one is these are the pre-developed features which is available in the TestNG. See, on failure, I need to take the screenshot and the video recording. So just I need to go to that method and then I can do it. And after the execution, every time the browser should be closed. So those all things anyways we will try to implement and then we will see it. So this is what the listeners option. So we discussed about the annotations, we discussed about the assertions, we discussed about the data providers, and we discussed about the listeners. And the last but not least about the retry mechanism. What do you mean by retry mechanisms is, I tried for this and the test case is failed. So now what it will happen, this is what the test flakiness, right? I executed 100 test cases, 90 test cases passed, and last 10 test cases is failed. We don't know why it failed. Once again, if I re-executed that, once again, that particular 10 test cases will pass. Another test cases will fail. So to root out this particular problem, So we have been introduced this particular concept called retry mechanism. What is this retry mechanism is? It will take up the failure test case and it will rerun then, and then it will see. If even for the second time it is getting failed, then it will mark as failed. If it is passed, then it will keep into the passed status. So that's what the retry mechanism. So now these are the high level views which we have been written in our agenda. Now we will take one by one, and then we will understand about each and every concept in detail. Okay, so now what we have been discussed is what is a TestNG thing. So TestNG is the testing framework which is inspired from the J unit and N unit. And what do you meant by NG? The test NG. N means next, G means generation. Next generation. Test next generation is a name. So now we just discussed what is TestNG, and then what are the basic features of TestNG we have been discussed. So I'll just give a pause for a second here. Do you have any questions over here regarding to the features and what you meant by TestNG? So these are the 2 pointers which we have been discussed. Any questions? Okay, can I take the silence as yes and proceed further?
Yes, Chris.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, cool. Now how to install TestNG? Okay, I'll do step by step so that it can be helpful for you. Now actually this is my new laptop, so I don't have anything previously, so I just installed Eclipse and then I configured the Java and other things. Now what I'll try to do, so I'll just create the Java project. Okay, I'll keep this Java project as testng underscore demo. Okay, so I'm creating the project, so which should be having the capital letters. Always the project name should have the capital letters. Now as soon as I created, it have the GRE library and the source library. Now under the source library, what I wanted to do, I wanted to first create the package. So always the package name should be small. So demo dot test g. Okay, I given the package name. Okay, so under this one, I'll create a class called annotations. Okay, so I'll just keep this one. Mm, or else I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll give this one. I added the main method and that. So now here, I just wanted to execute a small program, SYSO. Okay, say that. Okay, I am learning test in G. Okay, so I have given this and I executed this one. It printed me. I'm learning this one. Okay, now let's come back. Is this TestNG enabled? How to know that whether this is TestNG enabled? So as soon as you given a right click and come to run as, you didn't see in the TestNG here. Means this project is not TestNG enabled. So now what we need to do it? So first we need to go to the help, okay, and come to the install new software. This is how we will be installing this particular TestNG. Guys, we have two methods to do this. So one, by default, we can do with the Maven. So Maven is another approach. I'll talk that one later. But as of now, how to do manually the installation of TestNG and how to work with it. So first I'll let you know. Later on, how to do with the Maven, I'll discuss that one later. Okay, so now install this one. So now as soon you click this, we have this window. Now to do this one, what you need to do is just go for a Google search, and in the Google search, install TestNG in Eclipse. Just type that. So this list will be coming for you. And then once you got this particular list, click on the first link, Guru 99. And here it will be showing how to do this one. So now if you come here, the same thing they will be explaining. So first click on the install. Okay, now after installing, just copy this particular link. This link has been changed recently. Previously, this is the link bust.com/eclipse. Now they have been changed it. Okay, come here, and once again, I'm showing that help install new software and work with. Here you need to give this one. Okay, and then you need to click add. So here you can give the name. Okay, here I'm giving it as TestNG. Any name you can give it. Oh, it's already added. I already added it. So that's where it was showing. So it was searching for that. It will take a minute. So just be on hold for a minute, please. Okay. Now we got it right. So by default, it was saying that TestNG it came. So now I need to select this install and I need to click next. It started doing the installation. Just give me a second, guys. So now it started doing the installation, right? So it will take some couple of minutes. So just we will wait for that. Okay, now it have three packages to do it. So TestNG and Maven integration it have, it's an optional, but now no need to do anything. So just click on next. And once again, version 7.3.0. I told you, right? This is R2. I seen R3. Okay, so 7.0.3. So R2 is a latest version. So now let's click on the next. Okay, I accepted this. Okay, this was under the Apache license, guys. You need to know that Apache license, it's an open source tool. So that was in the Apache license. You can have that particular license information here. I accept this and click finish. Now you can see here whether it was installing or not. So those installations will be having here. Once it's done, we need to just restart this particular Eclipse browser. Okay, we'll do that. In the meantime, let's go and see what are the annotations we will be having it. Okay, this is on this, right? Okay, now I'll go for the annotations. So we wanted to see this annotation, right? So now just I'll click on this TestNG annotations. Okay, so we do have two sites for this one, so both are good. I'll let you know which we need to follow. If you see here, this is in a pictographical representation, it is very good. Now we need to see that these are the nine annotations which we need to learn, and this is very easy to learn also. What is the hierarchy for this one is you need to know S T C M. Okay, what do you meant by STCM means S stands for suit, test stand for test, yeah, C stands for class, M stand for method. Now you can add here means the prefix as, so two prefixes. One is before and one is next one is after. So before suit, before test, before class, before method. After suit, after test, after class, after method. And apart from these eight, we do have one separate thing at the rate of test. Guys, this test is different and this test is different. Here it is called as before test or after test. But this annotation is only test. Means whenever you see something with the only test, this is what our real test case. So these are supporting things. I told you, right? So it provides the supporting framework for us. So that is what these particular nine annotations will do. I'll show quickly what is this particular nine annotations and then how it can be used for us. Okay, as soon as you have been installation completed, it will ask you for the restarting of this. So now the first thing means the next thing what we have done here. So we have done how to install the TestNG also completed. So now how we should confirm that whether it has been TestNG installed in this one or not. Right click here. Okay. In the right click, once you have been clicked here, you seen it right, TestNG it came. So previously we don't have this one. If TestNG is installed, then only this option will comes for you. Okay, currently this project is not TestNG enabled project. If you wanted to enable the TestNG for this one, then now what you need to do is come to the TestNG and then convert to the TestNG. Means you're trying to convert this project into the TestNG. And the most important complete control and everything would be done with the help of this particular project, this particular TestNG XML file. So if you see here, this is what the XML file. So now what I'll try to do is I'll try to convert from here. Okay, this class file I taken it and I was just saying that convert to the TestNG. You can convert from the project level or from the class which file level you wanted to have it. Okay, so just sorry, I will be converting this one over this particular thing. Okay, now if you see here, it created previously we don't have the TestNG XML file. So now in this particular TestNG XML file, if you see here, okay, as soon as you click here, you'll have two tabs. One is design and then one is source. So once you clicked on this source, you can see this particular XML
Chris,
file here.
Chris, sorry to interrupt. Can you show it again? For me, it got lagged for some time. I couldn't see that XML.
Sure, no problem. What I'll do, I'll create a new class. Okay, um, test ng annotation. Okay, I created a class. Okay, for this particular class, I wanted to convert into the TestNG XML file. So now I'll delete this one. So now I wanted to convert the TestNG XML, right? I'll just give a right click, go to the TestNG, convert into the TestNG class. Okay, so now it was clearly given that what is the name you wanted to give it for the TestNG. So here you can give that name and test suite name and then name and what are the classes you wanted to have it. And means this is a parallel mode. I told you, right? We can have the parallel execution. Parallel execution, that's a different concept. I'll take it separately because the parallel I wanted to execute methods or classes or tests. So that we will be discussing later. So those all informations you'll be having it. So now as soon as you have this all, so just you need to click the next button and finish. By default, it will generate for you. So did you got it? So this is how the TestNG XML file will be created for you. If you click on this particular TestNG XML file, in this particular XML file, you will be having all this particular information. So either you can create it from here, you can convert the things and you can have from the packages or the class selections from the package level, and then means whatever, means you can change this one as testng underscore one. You can have multiple testng files or anything, so you can create it. So now you've seen it, right? So this is testng one and then this is norm testng. So as of now both are same. That's where we no need to worry about it. You need to understand this code means, so this is headers because you know, right, in the xml files by default we will be having the headers. In this particular header it talks about which is a version which we wanted to maintain, and then this is a coding, means what encoding technique they have been used for having this particular tags, and which is a url it need to hit. So this is the url which it need to hit. So those are the address headers. So the headers we have been given. So from here, if you see here, here also this will follow the same hierarchy: test suit, test, and then class name. And if you see here, all these are, this suit is opened here and this suit is closed here. This test is opened here and this test is closed here. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to introduce that particular class. Actually, the class need to be generated by default. I don't know why it was not generating. Let's see why it was not doing it too. Okay, fine. Still it wasn't under this. I'll delete this one. I'll give a pause here. Any questions? So how to convert? See, now what we have been discussed is, so how to install the TestNG and then how to create the basic TestNG project. So these are the two things which we have been discussed now. So any questions?
Yeah, Chris. So actually, what is the use of this XML you have just now created?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
See, um, XML file is the heart of the project. Without XML file, you will not have the complete control on this particular class files. For an example, coming to here, now I'll give here the concept of verbose. Verbose means how much detailed level of logs you wanted in your project execution. If I given 1, you will get less logs. If I given 10, it gives me lot of logs. Okay, this is called as tag, and these are called as attributes. Okay, so now you given, right, thread count equal to 5. So now it can open 5 threads, multi-thread, in the features we have discussed, right? If I wanted to execute my test cases parallelly, I have 5 test cases, I wanted to execute 5 test cases parallelly, then I'll be giving its a multi-thread as 5, so that it will execute parallelly 5 test cases. So and then you can exclude. See, now I have created 2 classes here. So now I have, for an example, this is pwb model and this is oc module. So now I wanted to execute only the pwb model, then I'll write it as include. So when I include that one, that will includes that particular class. If I keep this one as exclude, then this will exclude this particular class. So in this one, I wanted to execute only particular methods. So those also I can write it here, include this particular group and exclude that particular group. Just hold on for some more time. You can understand what are the basic features of this one. Okay. Now let's try to execute a particular thing so we can clearly understand. So now what I try to do is test. Okay. As soon as I written at the rate test, it was asking me there is a problem. Okay, so it was not enabled with the TestNG project. Huh? Just give me 1 second, please. Hmm. I was directly creating the TestNG class. Just give me 1 second of time. I'll explain what I have to do. And unit path for this one. Okay, I'll let you know what is the problem also. It was sorted out. Okay, all the things are sorted. Okay, yes. What I have did multiple changes I have been quickly did it. So I'll just try to explain what are the particular multiple changes which I have been did. So now if you see here, what I have done is in this particular right click. So I just wanted to convert. I just converted it right now. Before doing this one, so I just created the TestNG class file. Create the TestNG class file. Okay, when I click the TestNG class file, it asked me which annotation you wanted to use. I told you, right? Overall, we have 9 annotations. I selected all the annotations and then I given the source folder. So source folder where I should have it. So this is what the source folder where I wanted to create it. So as soon as I created that one, by default, the basic problem what we have done is we didn't added the TestNG libraries for this particular project. So now as soon as I add it, if you see here, those libraries are available here. By default, the libraries added over here. Now, once I added these particular libraries, so that's the reason without adding this particular, because I was habituated in the Maven, right? Maven will take care of this all. So I didn't added that one. Now I need to add these particular libraries, right? The jar files. Now, even if you wanted to access your Selenium methods, you need to first access your jar files, right? So that's how first we have been added your TestNG jar files. In this particular, then we have been created a class file. So in this particular class file, I have been used all my annotation methods, like which means at the rate test, at the before method. I just selected in front of you, right? I selected all and I generated this particular class file. Now, once this particular class file is generated, from this particular class file, I given a right click and then I generated the convert into the TestNG. So where it generated me the TestNG underscore real. So if you see here, it was coming in the same hierarchy: suit, test, classes, and class. This is the name of the class which we wanted to execute. So till here we have been navigated. Okay, I'll just give a pause. Did you guys understood this one, or you want me to do it again in front of you? Simple. I added the first step. I added the jar files. Once I added the jar files, then I created a class file. In this particular class file, I have been added all these particular annotations. And once I added the annotations, then I generated this TestNG XML file. If I wanted to execute this particular class file, I can execute it from the TestNG XML file, or directly I can execute this one from here. See, giving a right click here and come to the run as. Previously, if you see here, it is Java configurations. Now it is TestNG configurations. You've seen it, right? Either you can execute from here, or either you can execute from here. So what it will do means, from this file, it will hop to this file and do the execution. Or else if you started the execution here, from here directly it will start. So from this file, how it will go here means, here we have been given package name dot class name. So this is what the first class, first test. So that is what we have been given. If I started doing the execution from here, so this execution will go to the first test, and from the first test, whatever the things we have been written, it will start doing the executions for us. So did you guys understood this one, or any doubts? Any
Yes.
questions? Clear? Okay. So now I'll try to, okay, even this example may not be right one. I'll try to create my own. So I'll write at the rate test. See, as soon as I have been used this one, so I need to import this one. So means if you see here, all the imports are there for each and every annotation. I'll be having the import. Now, what I'll be writing, I need to write a test case. Here, I'm writing my test case saying that public, okay, void. This is nothing going to return. My test, always method should start with the small letter Hungarian notation, and test case here I'll be writing here. And if you see here, I'll be writing SYSO. Okay. And here I'll be writing saying that boss, this is my first test case. Okay. I have written. Yes, do you remember, right? So in previously, when I wanted to execute this one, without main method, I can't execute, right? So now in this particular class, okay, if I wanted to create a particular class, okay, uh, always class name should start with the capital letter. Okay, now if you see here in this one, I'll be writing it as SYSO. In Java, without main method, I can't run, right? I'm in main method. Okay, so yeah, if I wanted to execute this particular program, so I'll be executing it and I'll be getting it. But when it comes to the TestNG, I'll not have the main method. This particular at the rate test itself, it will take care of the execution. So now you see here. So now if I wanted to execute this, give a right click, run as TestNG. See, it started, detected the TestNG version 7.3.0. Now, boss, this is my first test case. Test case is passed. How many runs? One run, zero failures, zero skip, and one pass. See, now what I'll do, so I'll do the same thing and I'll keep this one as second, and then I'll say this is second test case. So this is how we will write in our files now. So now second test case, and then I started doing the either I can execute from here, or I can go here and I can execute from here, or from the testng XML file I'll come here and then I'll execute it. See, boss, this is my first test case, this is what my second test case. Now you write what means the third test case also. Just I'm trying to generate this all, so you will understand why I'm doing this one later part. This is my third test case. Third. Okay, save, and then I started doing the execution. See, test case 1 passed, 2 passed, 3 passed. These are the statements which we have been written it. Done. So that is the purpose of at the rate test. Now, means after means okay. I'll give a pause here. Any questions here?
Chris, like we need to run through the test ng suite only, or if you run directly, it will not run, right?
No,
That
no, no. That is
required.
what I'm saying. You can run it from here. See, it executes and give the results, or it will come here and from the file itself, you can come and run it from here. It will execute. See, and even I can run it from here. See,
Okay.
from anywhere you can execute it. But why we need to run it from the XML? There is a reason. I'll talk about that one. I talked about the parameterization. You remember, right? If I'm passing that particular parameters from the XML file to this particular class, then I can't run it from this class because the parameters are coming from here, right? So I need to wait for that particular parameters. So that parameters will be passing from this TestNG XML file.
One more question, Chris.
Yep.
So this test cases will run from top to bottom in the sequence we have written.
I'll give it to. That's an interview question. See now, what
Okay.
is the hierarchy of the execution? It will happen. So now for this one, we do have another thing called as options. You remember, right? So I told you that we will discuss about annotations and I'll discuss about the options. So this is what the options. What do you mean by options means? Here you will be having the priority. Okay, so I'll just see whether these guys has been written that one. Okay, so annotation attributes. So just I'll try to click this. Okay, so the attributes we can have. See now in our test case in our framework we are using the description, right? So this is what the description. Hmm, sure. Okay, now we will see what are the other things. Depends on, so depends on method is one of the most important thing. I'll take this one so that it is easy for us to understand. Now what I'll try to do, this is, I'm giving it as priority 2. Now I'll give this one here Okay, I'll give this 3 and this 1. You see it? Now what is the hierarchy it will print? First it should print third, second it will print second, third it should print the first. Okay, let's see how what the output. See how it printed? First it printed third, second it printed second, first it printed the third one. So this is how the priority means if you wanted to make anything as a sequential means the order of execution. So this is the order of execution. Now the next immediate question is, if I don't give the priority, what would be the order of execution? This is the most important pointer. If you don't give the priority, it will take the alphabetical order and then it will do the execution. Actually, our guys are missing this one. I need to inform those people. So they need to follow this particular priority. If they don't have, because as of now they didn't merge the code, right? They might be having the issues. So in the priority, at least they need to give the test case numbers. So the sequence of test case numbers, according to that sequence, it will execute and it will give the results to us. So this is what the priority. And even we have discussed, right, the description. So the description is also another attribute. So for us, we are giving the description as the test case names. Okay, I'll just writing here. So the priority is this and the description is this is test case 1. Okay, now I'll copy the same thing here. Okay, so this is 2 and this is 3. Okay, now I'll try to run this one. If you see here, okay, so this is test case 3. This is a test case name and this is the description. This is the test case name, description, test case name, and then description. And if you see here, this is what it will first say, what is a console printing and how many passed or failed information you'll get it. Now, apart from this one, you can have this particular results. This is from the TestNG. Now, this is the test case 1. Okay, how much time it executed, and test case 2, how much time executed test case 1. If there is any failures, it will be display over here. So this is the hierarchy it will be having. Nothing is failed. Passed summary is this 3 methods, 1 test case passed in this one. Now if you come here and do a right click here and refresh the project. If you see here, previously we don't have this particular folder test hyphen under output. This folder will be by default generated by the TestNG. And if you open this particular folder, you'll be having an index.html file. And this index.html file is an HTML file where you can get the complete output in this format. But we don't require this because we have much more good reports, extent reports like that. If you see here, so these are the test cases. Not so extensively used this report, but I just wanted to show how the report would be generated and then how the output folder would be generated over here. So in this folder, we need to remember 2 things. One is index.html and TestNG result.xml file. So this particular file will holds the complete information of the execution, means which test cases are passed, which test cases are failed. So those all informations we can get it from here. If you see here, this is test case 2, test case 3, test case 1. All things are passed. So from here, whatever the report you are generating, the extent reports or Alluri reporting, whatever the reports you wanted to generate from this particular file itself, they will take it as a input. Okay, so by means the first pointer you need to understand, once after the execution, this test hyphen output will be generated. For every execution, this report will be generated. Even now you delete this one and you execute it. So now I am doing the refresh, you will not have that folder. Now when you start doing the execution, okay, so once this is executed, you come here and refresh this particular project. So by default, the test output folder will be generated. For that execution, it will generate the test result.xml file and then index.html file. So these are the 2 important things we need to remember. Now we have discussed about so the @test and @test, and then what are the attributes or the options we can have for this particular annotations. So we do have 9 annotations. We just started with one annotation. Now I'll try to use another annotation. So which is called before method annotation. Before method, the name itself, it was coming it as before method, means for each method, means there are 3 test cases, right? For every method, this will be executing for it. I'll show it how it works. Okay. I will execute before every test case. Okay, I return this. Okay, I'll keep this. Now you execute and see. See, now you've seen it, right? Before each test case, this would be executed. See, this is second test case. It will execute before this test case. Before means we do have few actions, right? Before each test case, you need to open the browser, navigate to our PWD application, log into that particular application. Then if I use the before method, every test case will require these 3 steps, right? So those things I'll keep it in the before method. And after method, so even the after method, now by this time itself you can understand that after method is nothing but after every test case I wanted to execute this. So now I'll change this one into hashes. I'm sorry. I'll execute after every test case. Now you execute this. See, now before method executed here and the test case executed, and then after method started executed. Before method, test case, after method. Before method, test case, after method. So this is how these annotations will comes into the picture. You know, you've seen it. So the 3 annotation, how easy it is. So test is our test cases which we will be writing it, and for this test we will be having the attributes or the options, and then means you can do the prioritization of this. If you don't give the priority, it will take the alphabetical order, and here the description, there are multiple things are there. Grouping, so actually we have also done the grouping. I'll show the grouping also, but before that I just wanted to talk about the annotations, complete the annotations, then come for this particular options which I'm trying to do it. Okay, now we discussed how to implement this particular at the rate test and how to implement this particular before and after method. Any questions on this?
Yeah, Chris, maybe it will be next point, I think, but I just want to curiously, I want to like, is there any dependencies we can keep it for each test cases?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
That it comes in the depend on method. I told you, right? So depend on method will be there. Definitely we will have that one. That's an option.
Okay.
So
Okay.
next, when
Sure.
I'm talking about that particular concept, I'll comment over here. When we seen this annotations, so here we have been seeing it, right? Depend on. So these all features are given by the TestNG. So that's where it will have the complete control of it have the complete it have the complete control on the execution. Okay, so
Yes,
any
Chris.
further questions? Okay, so now we completed the at the rate test, at the rate means at the rate before method and after method. Before method, it means it will execute before each method. After method will execute after each method. This is very simple, but just you need to practice it. Until unless you practice it, you will not get this. Okay, next one, before class. What I told the hierarchy, STC means at the front of each class. Okay, this is a class, right? This is a class file, right? At front of each class, it will start doing once, and then after class, it will start once and then it will stop. So that is called before class and after class. Now we will see how this will be executed. So now when I seen here, okay, I'm saying that before class and after class. I will execute after, or this is before a class start. Okay, So now I'll copy the same thing and I'll say that this is a after. Okay, this I'll give an after. Okay, now I'll save this. Now I'll just run and show the output. If you see here, when it was starting, that particular point of time, okay, I should given you something else. I'll give here the dollar symbol. Okay, save. Okay, if you see here, the dollar symbol, you can see the dollar symbol here and here. Means before execution of this particular class file, first it will execute for the first time. So that's a before class. And after execution of all this particular test method, at the last it was executing over here. So this is the after class. This is a before class and this is a after class. So now you have the difference, right? What is at the rate test and what is a before at the rate before method, after method, and at the rate of before class and after the class. If you wanted to execute something in the front of each class, something else like a DB connections or something else you wanted to do it. So those all things can be done with the help of this particular before class and after class. Means I wanted to connect to the DB and I need to disconnect from the DB. So that I wanted to do it from this particular class. So those DB connections would be mentioned over in the before class and then after class. Understood? Any questions here? Okay, so then I'll go for the before test. So now if you wanted to use this particular before test, okay, before test and after test. Now in the hierarchy, where it will come? So if you go back and see in the hierarchy, so first suit come. So sorry, we have first we have implemented the test. IP1 by letter. Then we have implemented for the method and then we have implemented for the class level. So now we are going to implement at a test level also. So test level is means majority we will not use this, but you should know what is the advantage. So the test is above the classes, means multiple classes can be taken care by the test. See, if you see here, suit, test and classes. I can give multiple classes here, right? Now I can have this particular class also. Now what I can do, I can have the multiple classes and in front of this particular class, I can give this particular class name, right? So when I try to trigger this one, okay, this will execute both the class files. So now when you wanted to execute this particular both the classes, what are the means before I need to run and after I need to run. So that is what you will be writing over here. So now in this particular class, I can come here and say that, so these are the things I wanted to execute. Means a group of classes can be clubbed into a test. Okay, that is a definition of the test over in the test stage. Now, if you see here, now I will change this one to the another symbols called exclamatory marks. Okay, now I'll try to copy this. Okay, this is before. Okay, now if I start executing this one, you see here before test. Okay, here it's a before test exclamatory mark executed. Then this is before class, it executed. Then this is before method and this is at the rate method. So what is a hierarchy means? Here if you see here, I can have bunch of classes which I can execute it. So those things I'll be writing it from here. And here I mean that means the test will consist of multiple classes, that is called test. If I wanted to execute something before executing a bunch of classes, if I wanted to execute, then I'll be using the before test and after test. Means even now we'll have PWB as one class, OCR as a one class, we have multiple classes. Before this execution of this class, something you wanted to do, so at that point of time you will be using test. And last but not least, suit. So if you wanted to execute the complete suit, so what the things mean, this is what are the annotations which we can use is these are the annotations before suit and after suit. So just means that will be executed before executing this one. So the hierarchy of this one is first it will execute suit. What are the things you wanted to execute in the suit level, test level, class level, method, and then it will go to the test case levels. So now if I wanted to use this one here, come here and then keep it here and then change some symbols to stars. I'll keep that star here now. Okay, so I'll copy this and then I'll try to paste it here. And then this is what after suit, and this is test. This is test. If you see here, if you see here, first it started with the suit. I'll execute before a suit starts. So before a suit starts, this will be executed. Then this would be before a test starts, and before a class starts, before every test case, and this is the test case executions. So this is the hierarchy which we need to understand and execute it. If you see here, once after the suit, then it has been said that I have been completed this test suit. So this is what before suit and after suit. So overall in TestNG we do have 9 annotations. 9 annotations. The hierarchy of this one is before suit means STCM. So before suit, before test, before class, before method, and the at the rate test. And same thing it in the vice versa. After means after method, after class, after test, after suit. So this is how this will execute and then it will give back to us. So by this, what we have been understood is, so how to use the annotations in this TestNG we have been discussed. So these are the topics which we have been completed for today. I'll give a break over here. So try to achieve these all 3 steps in your system and then get back for the next session. Next session, we will discuss about what are the options or the attributes we'll be using. I given right. So we have used the priority in the description. What are the other things we can use it? So the most important thing is grouping and priority and depends upon method. So those things we'll discuss. And then how to pass this particular data providers. And then we do the assertions. Actually, every session will have at least 45 minutes, 45 minutes it will take for me. But I'll try to reduce it and then I'll let you know. Okay. So by this, I just wanted to wind up this particular session. If you have any questions or anything,